Hi, and thank you for joining us right here for This Week in Video Marketing. Starting in 1999, my first web project went crazy viral. It paved my way to Hollywood, where I spent 4 years driving digital for national talk shows, but all I really wanted to do was change lives, right? I didn't want to promote anyone's political views or their best sports takes, which I found myself doing every day. I wanted to make a difference. And feeling unfulfilled, I then spent the next 4 years created the first video medical encyclopedia on the internet. It lived on YouTube. It's still there. It's for free for anyone in the world. 8,000 videos with the top doctors, all search engine optimized and transcribed to be found on Google. And then when my stepmom was diagnosed with breast cancer, I launched Breast Cancer Answers, and 7 million video views later, my wife became the next patient in the family. And the most rewarding thing I've ever done professionally is help change lives using the power of YouTube. And that's why my guest, Tim Schmoyer from Video Creators, is with me. He feels the same way. Hi, Tim.
Hey, good to have me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, right. Right. It's that's what happens when
Oh,
a
sorry.
host finds himself as guest, right?
Yeah, it's good to be here, man. Glad to hang out with you.
All right. So, Tim, changing lives on YouTube. Now, some people would say that that's a lofty goal, right? Why is it not a lofty goal?
Well, I don't know if so the goal I think is to change lives, and then the making the money, the marketing part is the part that supports that. But I think a lot of people have that the other way around, where the goal is to sell a lot of product or to make a lot of money, and hey, if we could change lives in the process, that's awesome. But like, I try to think of it the other way around, where like the people that we're connecting with and talking to on YouTube, let's make that first, and if we do that well and we are making a difference in the world, then the money will come, and that's kind of how I go for it.
And so that is like relationship first. Be focused on being a quality person. The rest of it will flow naturally. It's like karma made me do it.
Yeah, like let's add value to your life. How can I support you? Someone who's in my target audience, how can I, add more value to you and help you and support you and help you achieve your goals in a way that makes sense, obviously, for both of us as mutually beneficial. But first of all, I want to put you first, and then have some natural, good revenue streams and like a process in place that would generate revenue, so I can continue to support you and help you and impact your life. I really got into this side of it back in I started on YouTube back in 2006, and March 2nd, 2006 actually is when I uploaded my
Nice.
first video. And back then it was just my wife and I. It wasn't called blogging back then. The term hadn't been coined yet, but we were dating, and we were just making like little dinky videos of us pranking each other and hanging out at restaurants and things like that.
Right.
And so as we were chronicling our life on YouTube, everything from dating to getting engaged to marriage to moving to having our first kids and everything, like these people started following our story. And we started getting, it wasn't intentional at first, now it is, but at first what we were discovering was happening, we were getting these people who were being impacted just by the way my wife and I were living our lives on YouTube. So we would get this was like a year ago, we got this email from a lady in Texas, and she emailed me and said, just real briefly, what she said was, Tim, I got married 2 months ago. Our marriage is already struggling, but then when I saw you and your wife talking in your videos about how you're learning to love each other better, I showed that video to my husband, and now we have hope again for our marriage. Just want to say thank you. I'm like, like that's really what it's all about. Or we had this other girl randomly come up to my wife and I. She says, hey, you don't know who I am, but I watch your videos on YouTube, and I've noticed that just by watching you, like I've raised my standard for the type of guy I'm going to date now. We're like, I don't know where your standard was before, but up is always like a good direction, right? And just all these stories, and so I really started like learning that there's this something on YouTube where we have this ability to make like a human connection and to connect with people in a way that's never been done before online. Now, I was a full-time blogger for 2 years before switching into making YouTube my full-time income. And while I was blogging on my site, I connect with a lot of people. It's the number one biggest, most popular, widely read blog in its niche on the internet. And I connect with a lot of people, but there's something about video, and maybe it's just me because maybe I'm just not a great writer or something, but I felt like video, like I could see facial expressions. I could make like eye-to-eye contact like I'm doing with you, Todd, although other people, they're looking at me, but, it's like I felt like I can talk to people in ways I couldn't do with text, and I think video is just really perfectly positioned to really be a medium that changes and influences lives unlike anything else.
Yeah, it's a freakish medium. When I've been following you and your story for a long time, and people will ask when I'm speaking at a conference, they'll say like, if you want to make an impact, you want to use YouTube. It's a very crowded landscape. How do you step out from the box? How do you differentiate, make that relationship? And what I always tell them, I'm interested in your feedback on it because I think you do it better than almost anybody. I tell them authenticity is the key. You need to be helpful with your audience because helpful is the true viral, and you also need to be authentic, which means you have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to share something that may seem a little embarrassing to some, but is authentically you and what you're going through or what your target audience is also experiencing. What are your thoughts on that, Tim?
Yeah, that's very true. People always connect better to people, and they connect to people more naturally than they connect to like a brand or to a logo or to an idea even. So if I sense like you, Tyler, if I was watching your videos, if I sense like, man, Todd genuinely cares about how I'm going to how my video marketing efforts perform. Even if there's like another guy over here who might be smarter and know more and ultimately, help me be more successful. But if I sense that this guy just doesn't care or that he's distracted, but here's Todd and he's genuinely invested and loves and cares what I'm doing, like I'm probably going for Todd, just because like that's ultimately what we care about at the end of the day. Now, ideally, you would have both those two things together, right? But the human element, I think, trumps almost everything else.
People don't fall in love with brands; they fall in love with the people that support the brand, right? And then
yeah, in one sense, yeah, they also fall in love with the stories behind the brand, but
that's
it's not necessarily like I love your logo, that imagery is so awesome. It's like, what does that represent? That's what they fall in love with.
So just a little bit of an example. I'm a University of Arizona alum, and on my wrist is our school motto, to bear down, and I use that as a life motto. But I didn't fall in love with the motto. I fell in love with the message behind the motto.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we should be doing as marketers the same. Tim, it's interesting. There are on YouTube a series of different types of content creators. Of course, you know this, but for our audience, you've got a professional content creator, you've got a enterprise or corporate level company that's creating content, using it to engage their brand or to personalize it. But then you've also got people like mom and pops that are really trying to use this technology, like you mentioned, to differentiate, to step out from the chatter. What are some of the best pieces of advice that you can give somebody from, let's say, a mom and pop perspective, or that would also be applicable to a large company? How do you stand out? How do you get known out there for the great ways that you're going to change lives on YouTube?
There's a lot of facets to that question. A couple things that come to mind. One is that I know the goal that a lot of people have, what they equate success with online video to, or just things in general, I guess, is that it's all about like the numbers. So if I could just accumulate this large audience, that then I'm successful. However, let's say it this way. So like, let's say you have 1 million subscribers on your YouTube channel. And there's a couple ways you could look at this, but one way you could look at it, let's say you have 1 million people, but not one of those people actually are the people that would buy something from you, right? So you could serve 1 million people well, but you need to make this financially sustainable for you, not because you're just like, hey, I need money, give me money, but in order for you to serve people, like you need to have the resources in order to do that, right? So So in that case, you got 1 million subscribers, but you kind of failed because you can't keep serving them the way that you want and the way that they probably want. But let's say you had 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of them wanted to support you in one way. That's like that 1,000 subscribers is way more valuable than the 1 million subscribers or views or whatever metric you want to use, you know? So I would say don't just focus on trying to get we just want to be popular, we want to be big, we want to be famous, and all these things, but more like who can I serve the best and how can I grow a community of people that can serve each other and help each other, that I can maybe lead and foster and maybe organize and moderate, but how can I build a community of people that I can serve the best? And whether that's 1,000 people or 1 million people, if you can do that with 1,000 people that actually care, to me, I think that's way more valuable than just trying to be famous and popular and big with 1 million, you know?
Okay, I couldn't agree with you more. It's a conversation that comes up with clients all the time. I'm sure you have it too. The goal is to have a concentrated group of followers. I think it falls back into this common mistake that clients approach us with. And they commonly say, we want to create a viral video or viral video campaigns. And you're laughing because you get this all the time, I'm sure. What do you tell people?
At them. I'm just yeah, go ahead. You know what I'm laughing about.
Yeah. But what do you already said it. I mean, you said it really well. You want a concentrated group of followers. You don't want, if you go viral, your audience won't be concentrate. It'll be basically everybody out there, but that may not translate into your end result. You'd rather have 1,000 devoted evangelists than to have, a 1 million people that just kind of casually know and aren't inspired. What do you tell people that's different than what I just explained?
I try to cast a different story for them. I believe that we are all very much influenced by stories, and we believe stories, and that influences the trajectory of our lives. But so they believe they believe this one story. I'm like, let's paint a different story. Like I just kind of painted for you. And I might go into detail. I might personalize it a little bit more. But then at the end of the day, though, I ask them which is more valuable, both to you and to the people you're serving. And of course, they can't say, no, we want 1 million viewers, just because we want 1 million viewers, they don't actually go there. So I find that just telling a different story to them and casting that vision for what's more valuable at the end of the day, usually oh, I see it now, so and of course they'll have questions. We'll go back and forth a little while, but that's ultimately what it comes down to, I think, is what you believe about what you're doing.
I recently gave a presentation on the viral video hoax, and did it in front of a live audience. The people that wanted to create a viral video, I showed them the amount of money that these viral videos spend to fake virality.
Yeah,
right. And how much it actually costs them on a daily basis to simulate the vibe of something truly going viral. But at the end of that, how valuable is it to them? We have 3 passion projects that we run out of Wirebuzz that are for cancer awareness, and in 12 months we generated 1.1 million social followers for cancer awareness using video. Cool. I don't know. Yeah, it's cool, but I don't know of that 1.1 what percentage of them are the real target audience, are people that are in need, or if people that just end up going once a year to a cancer run. So I always want to be
they're supporting it by liking your Facebook page.
Yeah.
Which is okay, that doesn't help, but thank you.
Right. I always want to have, as you said, the richest audience possible, and the more it's diluted, the less valuable it is to helping to get the word out. Tim Schmoyer, YouTube is always adding new improvements to their sites. How do you stay up to speed, man? You stay current better than most people out there. How do you do that?
So I personally, I go through about 1,000 blog posts every week, every Sunday evening usually, or Saturday evening, depending on what my schedule's like. I sit down and I just start going through my RSS reader, and I'm subscribed to a ton of different blogs and Google alerts and news stuff. And so I go through about 1,000 of those. I don't read all of them, but I skim the headlines and the titles and try to pick out what's valuable. for creators to know and for me to know and things like that. And so it's just a lot of reading and research that I just do every week just to stay on top of it.
Now, for those who don't know, Tim does a series of really, really good creator tips, and I think you do it with what, like a white backdrop or something. You
Yeah, the
film
one I
it.
do for Real SEO is actually right back there. You can see if that's the.
Oh yeah, cool.
But yeah, those are the ones I do for Real SEO. Yeah.
And so you go into your man cave, you crank those out, and you run your own camera, right? Which is always fun because it's like this, and then you go whoop, whoop, and then right? Do you do that?
Exactly. Yeah, but I got a little wireless, not wireless, but a remote so I can get the focus in while I'm way back because I don't have anyone holding the button for me to get me in focus. So.
That's so great. And then do you do your own editing on it?
I do all the own editing. I'm the script writer, the producer, the host, the editor, the publisher, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're if when you're a content creator and you look at other people's content, you try to dissect how they do it, right? So I think you free flow a lot.
Yeah.
And then you assemble it when you get into editing. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. I used to do the script writing thing, and sometimes I'll write notes. Like if I'm going to do like 5 best ways to interview someone, I'll write down like those 5 ideas ahead of time so I kind of know what I'm talking about. But I don't. I've only used a teleprompter once, and I felt like it just came off super unnatural. Like I was just like staring blankly, just talking like a robot because I was waiting for the next words to scroll. I'm like, I can't do that. So yeah, I just talk like I picture the target audience in my head, and when I'm talking to the camera, I feel like I'm talking to those people rather than like sitting down and talking to this inanimate object.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest tricks to pull off. A lot of our clients are in highly regulated industries like medical industry, or maybe they're a device manufacturer. So almost everything we say on video has to be, and here's the trick, it has to be approved by their legal, and our clients will fly us in. And so we run into this, how do we make sure that we create something authentic that doesn't feel stiff, that's already been approved by legal before I even get there, so I don't have to make a second trip up there, right? And so we do a series of these like bullet points that we need them to talk about, but we get them talking about them naturally, and then in post-production we try to walk that fine line to get them from A to Z to get that story across by hitting each one of those bullet points. It always takes a little bit of a riddle, right, to unravel how you're going to make it work.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any good help or tips for you there. I mean, I've definitely done videos, all my videos on video creators and Real SEO are about like YouTube and marketing type stuff. So I've definitely made videos where even recently I thought like, man, if I was doing this for YouTube, there's no way they would ever publish this video because I like mixed some terminology around accidentally, and I kind of corrected myself as I was talking, but they would never do that. You're like, nope, retake, I'm like, I don't got time for retakes. I'm just going to go with it. So I don't know if I have anything good, like a good tip for you other than maybe just practice reading a teleprompter or just memorizing the script. If it has to be word for word that was approved, then again I would just try to make it flow as conversationally as humanly possible. And the other thing is too, I've learned people are like, oh Tim, well you just seem so natural when you talk to the camera. How do you do that? It's like, well, I've also been doing it since 2006, right? So there's something that just comes with time of doing it, and the more you do it, the more natural it'll feel, the better you get at it. So that's probably an element also that I think could help people.
And Tim, you also have the privilege of starting off getting your sea legs in talking to a camera when you're talking about something personal, like your relationship developing with your girlfriend then wife. So that's kind of a really easy way, right, to start, because now you're talking about life, and then now you got your sea legs and you can talk about work.
Yeah. I just watched yesterday my very first YouTube ever. That I uploaded in 2006, and it is so uncomfortable to watch. It is so awkward. It's just a 30-second little test because I never uploaded a video to the internet before, and I'm watching that going like, whoa, so yeah, time you'll become more comfortable with it, and when people are first starting out, they feel like they're talking to a camera, but as you have more of an audience that you interact with regularly, both on YouTube and Twitter and other places, it becomes a little bit more natural. to feel like, oh, I'm talking to people, this is a little bit more natural now. Rather than just seeing the camera, you're actually seeing faces and icons of people who interact regularly and things like that, and that makes it a lot easier.
Tim, providing creator tips is really one of the great services that you provide to the YouTube community. YouTube's the second most used search engine, the #1 social network. So optimizing your YouTube account for search and discovery is vital if you want to be effective. What are like the most important optimization elements that the audience should know while we've got time with you?
Yeah, so most people think of SEO primarily in terms of like tags and titles and description text, and those are all very, very important, but only initially so. And that's, I think, where most people go wrong, is they think that if I can get the perfectly optimized title and get the tags just right, and they get hooked up, on like the description and trying to cram in as many keywords as possible. And what the #1 driver of video SEO on YouTube is watch time. And there's 2 elements to watch time. The first element is how much time did someone spend watching my video? So if it's a 5-minute video, did they abandon it after 15 seconds? Did they watch it through to 3 minutes, 4 minutes? How much time is spent watching the video? And the more time is spent watching that video, the more favorably Google will rank that video in search results. And then the second part to it is session watch time. So how does this video contribute to a viewer's overall session time on YouTube? So let's say you're doing a brand video, and at the end you have a strong call to action, super compelling for people to go to your website. And let's say a lot of people do that, which might be great for you as a brand, but now you're telling, like, YouTube knows that this video is the end of the line for people who, whenever they get to this video, like, boom, their session time on YouTube is over. And they don't want that, right? They want people watching more ads, they want people watching more content, giving more watch time, clicking on ads, and all that type of stuff. So that video is less likely to rank well in search. So the #1 biggest thing to get watch time is to make sure that your titles and your thumbnails are designed for people and that they are enticing to click on. So the best title might not be, jamming all your important keywords into your title and just trying to make it like you're titling the video as if you were going to put it into a catalog of some sort so you can keep track of it. Instead, like, what title it has our keywords in it, but more importantly, is relevant to our audience that would make this video enticing to click on, and then make the title and thumbnail work together, because you don't get any watch time at all unless your video is enticing, and that the billboard for the title and the thumbnail working well together to really entice people to click. And then the first 15 seconds of your video are hooking the viewers to want to watch the rest of it, so you're not using like 15 seconds of your branded intro before you even get to the content, that type of thing, so that you're accumulating as much watch time as possible. So long story short, it's make your videos, design them for people, not for robots, and then 2, make sure you're doing everything you can to learn how to hook people to watch your videos longer, because that's ultimately what's going to affect how they rank in search.
And when you're talking about that, what I pictured are what I call the donut, and I see you do these often where you start off and you're like, I'm going to just do a fake Tim Schmoyer, okay? I'm going to say something like, need the best tips to optimize your YouTube channel, and then you go into your open, and then so you've already hooked them at the beginning. Now they're going to stay with you, and you pull them through. Google's primary goal is to always provide the most valuable content, which is information, right? The most valuable information on the top of Google in its search results. And Google owns YouTube, and so time on page is very valuable. Google on YouTube, they call it watch time.
Right.
And the most valuable content, this content that will appear on the top, has the longest watch time, like Tim just mentioned. So that's where really great, compelling content, like if we go and look at our cancer content where we're interviewing patients and rock star doctors, the content that gets the best results is the content we've spent the most time on. It's the content that has the highest engagement value. As Tim mentioned, it's got the thumbnails that are customized that make it appealing. It's got the right introduction. And maybe most importantly, it's got the right story built into it, because you want to pull people through the end for the watch time, not only the watch time, sorry, but the audience to find it valuable. You agree
Right.
with all that, Tim?
Yeah, yeah, and the best case scenario, depending on what story you're telling, is that if you can end the story with something unexpected or something surprising or something that has some sort of emotional appeal, that's what will get you the most shares then also. So like my content doesn't naturally lend itself to like an emotional, engaging, like, yes, I love YouTube tags, I'm going to share this with everyone I know. But depending on the story you're telling, you could have that sort of climax right at the end, and that's what will trigger the most, the most sharing on, and then that'll get you more exposure, more watch time, and things like that.
Tim, one of my favorite obsessions is trying to figure out where the light is at the end of the tunnel. Where's this road headed? Where's YouTube headed? Can you paint a big picture for people out there?
I wish. So this is, right now it's the end of 2014 and everyone's doing their like predictions for 2015,
Right.
where is this all this headed? And I'm like, yeah, that's nice, I guess. Like at the end of the day, like 2 weeks into January, no one's going to remember or care what people said was going to happen in 2015. But
there's some big trends out there. I mean, there's some big vision stuff that you can already see developing out of YouTube.
Yeah, they're trying to, the main thing that they're working on is they're trying to figure out, we have all this inventory and not enough demand as far as advertising dollars are concerned. So everything is just dirt flat cheap as far as ad revenue is concerned on YouTube. So they have some plans, and I know some of them, which will roll out here in the next, hopefully next month or two, that'll help start to shift some of that. But what they're focused on is getting revenue up, and the only way they can do that is either increase supply or demand. Or no, they have enough supply. They want to increase demand or reduce the supply. So what they're doing is going to reduce the supply a little bit in a way that actually could make creators more money in the long run. But I think that's where it's going. As far as the marketing side for creators, I think people are going to start realizing more and more how important story is in their video marketing efforts, and it'll be more about connecting with people who share that story. And I don't mean socially share it, but believe in that story, and believe in the creed or the belief behind it. And those shared beliefs, those are so powerful. Like that's what community develops and forms around, both online and offline. People who have shared beliefs will instantly bond and connect with each other. And that happens both places. So if you really want to grow community on YouTube, you got to really start standing for what you believe in, and that will, alienate some people who don't believe that, but that actually just solidifies your community even tighter, even more. Like you need that adversity actually to build your community. So there's a lot more that goes into that, but I think brands will start to think more about stories, and the stories that are important to them, and the stories that are important to the people that they can serve the best, and hopefully start marketing that way.
Well, he's Tim Schmoyer. He is a really sharp voice in the world of video marketing. You can find out more at Video Creators. Tim, the URL that we give out it's the one listed right here below your name, youtube.com/video creators. Is that where you'd like people to find out more about you?
Yeah, that'll work. That'll take you guys to my YouTube channel, which is where I train other YouTube creators how to master the YouTube platform and use it as a tool to spread messages, to spread your message that changes lives. Videocreators.com is my website, and you can learn more about me there. But either way, either one works.
So Tim, I'm inspired by you. When I do these interviews, I always ask people, what do you want to talk about? And you said, I want to talk about using YouTube to help change lives. Now that's really unique. That's the first time that anybody's ever said that to me.
What do people usually say?
Oh, I want to talk about the my latest blog or my white paper that's coming out or something marketing driven, but you've got a bigger picture than that, and I appreciate it very much. It hits home with me, and I'm grateful we had time to, this is our first time talking, so I'm grateful we had that opportunity, and I look forward to doing it with you again.
Yeah, I think marketing is a tool. It's not the end goal. Tool marketing is what enables something bigger to happen and to take place. And so for me, that's, how does it enable us to change lives and influence people and make the world a better place? And I really do believe that a lot of people do have messages that need to spread, the world needs to hear. And so video creators revolves around trying to help those people spread the message to reach the people that need to hear it, not just to like get anybody and everybody, but who really cares about what you're talking about and how can your message influence and change their lives. And so that's what video creators is all about, and that's what I'm all about, and I love doing it, and I love working with people who care about that also.
It's great when you do something you love that you're passionate about that fulfills your mission. It hardly feels like work, and I get that same feeling out of the work that I do. He's Tim Schmoyer from Video Creators. On behalf of Tim and I, we wish you a very healthy, of course, prosperous new year, and we look forward to giving you more information right here on This Week in Video Marketing.